When Bells of Steel reached out to me to see if I'd like to review a barbell in time for their Black Friday sale, I didn't have the heart to tell them that I already had one of their bars in a shopping cart ready to buy. And when the list that they sent me of bars that I could pick from had that bar on the list, it was a no-brainer to say yes. So it's here, it's arrived, it's time to unbox and take a first look at a very cool, very unique barbell that I've been really excited to get my hands on, the Hydra bar from Bells of Steel. Welcome back to the GymCrafter YouTube channel, everybody. My name is Tim. I am the head gym nerd here at GymCrafter.com, the website that I built to help ordinary folks build home and garage gyms that they absolutely love. And I've got something really unique today. As you guys know, I have a barbell problem. But when I come across something that's not only going to make my gym better, but it's going to make part of my job better, and part of my job isn't just YouTube, but I'm also a personal trainer. I train people here in the gym. And one of the things that I love teaching people how to do is lift with a barbell. I truly believe that barbell training is the single best way, single most beneficial way to train, especially as you get older in life. And if you do it correctly and you do it safely with good form, it's an extremely low risk of injury. So when I can get a tool in my gym to actually help with that job, I get really excited. So that's what the Hydra bar is. The Hydra bar is a very unique barbell, which you'll see when I get this out of the box, that has 7 individual knurl rings on it that allows you to really dial in where your hand placement is, where the bar placement is. So this is going to do a couple of things for me. Number one is for clients, when I teach them to lift and where to put their hands and how to hold the bar when they lift for different types of lifts, we always mark their hand position off of the knurl rings. And with the additional knurl rings on this bar, I'm really looking forward to using it as a tool to train people. The other thing is for those of you guys out there who lift really heavy. Now this is a 29 millimeter bar. It's I think it's a 2,000 pound weight capacity, 210,000 PSI. Tensile strength, all fancy terms for this bar will probably hold any amount of weight you want to put on it. And for those of you guys out there who are really pushing big numbers, and I've got a couple of clients who are working up to some rather large lifts, having the bar even a fraction off one way or the other can be really detrimental when you're trying to just max out on a really heavy PR. So I'm really looking forward to taking a look at this bar, not just for teaching new folks how to lift, but for helping folks who are trying to hit a PR really get lined up perfectly under the bar. Everything's got to be in exactly the right spot. Nothing will be off center. And I'm looking forward to seeing if it'll work for that. And I don't know. I'm hoping that it will. I've really thought a lot about this since I ordered it, or since Bells sent it to me. But thank you to Bells of Steel for sending me this bar. I'm really excited to start using it here in the gym. And another interesting thing is this is a bare steel bar. So I haven't had a bare steel bar in many years. And I know we talk a lot about stainless steel and Cerakote and corrosion resistance. I'm really anxious to see how well is the bare steel going to hold up. I live in Illinois. It's semi-humid here, so I don't live on the coast, but I have had bars rust before. So we're going to take a look and see what does it look like out of the tube. Is it rusted already? Is it not rusted already? And then what type of a maintenance it takes to keep this bar up. And we might even get a chance to put our barbell rescue brush to work more often than usual. So with all that said, let's go ahead and get to the unboxing. Like I always do, I'm going to do an unboxing of this and kind of show you my first impressions. I've never seen this bar before, so I'm really excited to share it with you guys. And then what we'll do is I'll train with it for a while. I'll train my clients with it for a while, and I'll come back at you in 4 to 6 months or so and give you a final review of what I think, how did it last, all of that kind of fun stuff. And that should be long enough to know whether or not it's going to corrode or not too. So with all that said, let's get to opening the bar. And the first thing I always show you guys when I open these up is the packaging. And unfortunately, like a lot of companies, this tube has come apart over here and it is split. Now I did look inside, there's a bag over the bar. I don't think there's any damage to the bar. We'll see when we get it out. But when you look at some companies, they use a thinner gauge cardboard on their tube, and this is typically what happens. And you can see that somebody wrapped some tape around it. It looks like it opened even a little bit more, and once that starts to rip a little bit, it starts to break apart along the seam. These tubes come apart pretty easily. So as the very angry UPS guy who's constantly delivering very heavy things to my home probably just chucks it in and out of the back of his truck, this type of a thing can happen. Fortunately, depending on how it's packed, it shouldn't be an issue, but just to point that out, it did show up with a little bit of carton damage. Cool thing about Bells is I know I've had issues with them before, not, just things where I needed to call them. They've always been super responsive. They're a great customer service company. It's one of the things I like dealing with them about.
Yes!
And yeah, so let me get this out of the tube. We'll check for damage and we'll go from there. And there we have it. The bar is out of the tube. There is no shipping damage, which is awesome. This thing was packed really, really well, and there's a couple cool things about the packaging which I really like. Number one, there were a couple of desiccant packages in there. Those are those little silica gel packets that's gonna absorb moisture. Most of Bells of Steel stuff is made in China. I'm assuming this is no different, and that means that this rode on a boat across salt water to get here. So you don't want a bare steel bar sitting close to salt water if you can avoid it, and those desiccant packages I'm sure really helped. There is no rust, there's no corrosion on this at all. It actually looks really cool. The part where it's knurled is kind of a darker, kind of a charcoal gray color, and then the middle is a nice steel. This is, like I said, a bare steel bar. There is just something about a bare steel bar. You know, bare steel and stainless steel are my two favorite materials. I don't know if it's in my head or not, but to me, bare steel just feels a little more metal. If that makes sense. And maybe it's because what I associate it with. The only times I've ever used bare steel bars are in some very dark, dingy powerlifting gyms with some very scary looking gentlemen who aren't actually scary at all. Really taught me a lot about lifting, but always had bare steel bars in their gym, and you just know by grabbing it, just by the feel of the knurl. There was definitely a coat of oil on this, and I'll tell you, not only with all barbells, but if you do decide to go with a bare steel bar, you're gonna need a barbell rescue cleaning kit. And you want the whole kit. You want the brush because you don't want chalk getting on a bare steel bar. Chalk absorbs moisture and it really sucks the moisture out of the air and deposits right on the bar. So you never want to leave chalk on a bare steel bar. You never want to leave chalk on your bars at all, but bare steel especially, that's going to really speed up any corrosion that's going to happen. The other thing that comes in that kit is some oil, and I'll put a link to this down below in the description so you can grab one. You need it if you've got barbells anyway, but that oil, just a light coat of that oil will keep this from rusting, and then won't add really anything to the feel of the bars if you put it on right. And then you've got this cloth, and I actually love this cloth that comes with it. It's got their little logo on it, but it's kind of like a waffle material cloth, but it's a lint free. So normally, like some of the cheaper microfiber cloths, when you rub them across knurl, it leaves little bits of cloth and stuff, and this thing's great. Took this out, cleaned the oil right off, and clean up real nice. So a few things about this bar, just right off the bat. Like I said, it is a 29 millimeter diameter bar, so it's probably best suited for powerlifting. And as we go over the rings, that's probably what I'm gonna use this most for. I don't know that I would use this to coach for Olympic lifting or CrossFit style lifting, really more for, like I said in the intro, people who are new to lifting and are just learning like the big 3 or the big 5 lifts, as well as people who are really trying to go for a PR. And I'll show you where that's going to come into play on a couple of really cool features on here. The knurl's on the more aggressive side of medium aggressive. That's probably something I might change if I was to make this bar. Although I'm gonna have to ask my clients what they think. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut and just see if they say anything. If you're using this for newer lifters like I will be, sometimes you want a little bit more of a passive knurl. But I guess if you want this to be good for everybody, this is a pretty good all-around knurl. I think it's not super aggressive, it's not super passive, but it is, like I said, a little more on the aggressive side of medium. The knurl rings themselves, perfect placement, right? So you've got a center knurl ring, and where this is gonna come in is a few things. Number one, if you've ever coached people before, if you've ever found in yourself, just because you grab the same place on both sides of the bar doesn't mean that when you've got a bar on your back that your hands are equidistant from the center of your back. And what happens sometimes, especially if people have shoulder imbalances or muscular imbalances of some type, they'll grab it in the right place, but the center of the bar will be off center. And as a coach, I'll be able to tell if this bar is perfectly centered on their back. And that's not only great for the newer lifters, but again, if you're trying to squat a lot of weight, you don't want this bar off to one side or the other, even by the width of this knurl ring. So this is really gonna help for those guys who are trying to set some PRs. The other nice thing that I like about this, you run into the same issue with deadlifts where your hands might be equidistant apart, but you might be off to one side or the other. And then also for bench pressing, I love something that cues people to have this dead center, because that's another area where people, when they get in that position, again, they might grab these, but to bring this center knurl ring down straight up and down and not move the bar side to side. It's a great coaching cue to have, and it's a great coaching cue, especially for deadlifts, rows, and bench presses that I can even use on myself, or you can use on yourself. You don't need, the squat, you need somebody back there to see it, but for everything else, you can use that yourself. It's got IPF and IWF knurl rings, so if you are lifting competitively, you'll want to have those on there. For most people, that's not going to really matter too much, especially people who are using this to teach them how to lift. And then what I really like is this knurl ring right here. This is the 6th, and so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 and 7 right here. Teaching people to use a close grip. What a big mistake a lot of people use is they bring their hands in for a close grip. They bring them in too close. Close grip bench presses, for example, if this is your normal bench press grip, this is your close grip, or maybe this is your close grip. It doesn't need to be super far in, so having this knurl ring here to kind of coach that bar placement as well. Really well thought out as far as the bar goes. Now, it comes in this finish, which is bare steel. It also comes in a colored option where they've got each of these sections painted a different color. When they asked me which color I wanted, I went with bare steel for 2 reasons. Number one, like I said in the intro, I want to see if this corrodes. Number two, the colors are kind of ugly. Sorry, Bells of Steel. I would have gone with different colors, but that's me. I'm sure some of you guys will disagree. I'll put a link to the bar down below. I'm recording this in early November of 2024. They've got some really good Black November sales going on right now. So if you need some stuff for your gym, now's a great time to buy it. And all those links down below, the Barbell Rescue, the one for this, are affiliate links. If you use those links, I'd appreciate it. If the video is good and you decide to buy the bar because of the video and you think I've helped you out, that's the way that you can tell me I did a good job, is by using those links. And that helps pay for other stuff for me to review. Now, Bells, like I said, was nice enough to send me this, but most of the stuff on the channel I buy, and how I afford it is you guys. So I appreciate you using those links. As we move to the end of the bar, there's a couple other nice things to point out. This is going to have brass bushings. It's got good sleeve spin. It's appropriate for powerlifting. I don't know that this is appropriate again for Olympic lifting, but I don't know that this bar is really made for Olympic or CrossFit style lifting. I don't know that this knurl is passive enough to do dynamic movements or more ballistic lifts or snatches or things like that. And the same thing with like high rep movements. It's more going to be for lower rep or medium rep range type stuff. But the bar spin is good for that. It does have a ribbed sleeve, which I'll be honest, I don't like. I used to kind of be middle of the road with that, but I don't like ribbed sleeves. However, when you're building a bar like this, it's a training tool and you've got to save a little bit of money. It is less expensive to make ribbed sleeves because you don't have to worry about the finish on a smooth sleeve being perfect all the way around. It makes an annoying noise when you load the plates, which is why I don't like it. Other than that, it's neither here nor there, just so you guys know what it is. But there's 2 things I really like about these sleeves. Number one is the width of the shoulder. So when you're talking about not only teaching people how to lift as a coach or as a trainer, or teaching yourself how to lift if you're doing that at home, and a lot of people are teaching themselves barbell lifting at home. It's a really fun hobby to get into, to really work on your form every time you come in. The walkout can be challenging for some people, and the wider shoulder puts those plates further away from the sides of the cage, so that if you do kind of walk out a little crooked or something, you're not going to hit the plates on the upright, which is, we've all done it, I'm sure, and it's just distracting, right? Especially for a newer lifter. The other thing that this comes in handy for is for those guys I was talking about, for those of you out there really trying to lift heavy, if you've got a ton of weight on your back, not only do you want to make sure that it is in exactly the right place, but when you've got a ton of weight on the bar, you definitely don't want to hit the weight on the side, on the uprights, right? Because you need every ounce of concentration. You need to make sure it's exactly where you need it to be. You need to make sure that you're lined up correctly. And I like that they put the wider sleeves. Now, personally, I don't like wider sleeves on my normal everyday use barbells, but it makes a ton of sense to put them on a bar like this. So really thoughtfully designed as far as the purpose goes. Like I said, it's a unique barbell. It's different than most other barbells you see. It's built for a specific reason, and everything that I'm seeing so far, they've done a really nice job. One last thing that I really love about those sleeves is the end caps. So the bar is called a Hydra bar. If you're not familiar, it's from mythology. It's a 7-headed monster where if you cut one head off, it grows back. Check, I think it's Clash of the Titans probably has one in it. But anyway, the end cap is super cool. So I really dig cool end caps, and this has a very cool end cap. The colors are white and gold, which are really neat. And I love the way that it looks. I wish every company would put effort like that. And you're seeing a lot of companies, you're seeing Titan do that now, you're seeing Rep do that now. Fringe Sport's been doing it forever. And so it's nice to see Bells actually do the same thing with those end caps. So that's the bar. Like I said at the beginning, it's got a 2,000 pound weight capacity, over 200,000 PSI tensile strength. This thing should be bulletproof, so if it gets dropped, if it gets thrown around, if you do load a ton of weight on it, it should hold up really, really well. I love the way that it looks. Like I said, everything's pretty sharp. So the knurl rings are real good and crisp, and like I said, it looks sharp. I'm gonna use this for the next 4 months like I normally do here on the channel, 4 to 6 months, and that'll give me enough time to see if it corrodes, to see what my clients think, to see what they think of the knurl, and I'll come back definitely with a final review on it. But if you are a personal trainer and you teach people how to lift, this is a really cool tool. Depending on where you train, if you're able to bring a bar like this or get your gym to buy a bar like this for you to train with, or if you train at home like I do, or even if you got to bring it back and forth, if you train in studios, you train in clients' homes, this is a great tool. I can really see this coming into and really be a big advantage for you as a trainer, as a teaching tool, and then like I said, is for somebody trying to lift heavy or even teaching yourself. So yeah, I'm super excited to start using this. Like I said, I'll come back with a review. If you have any questions on this, drop a question down below in the comments. I'm happy to answer it for you. I check those every day. And as always, I really appreciate you guys tuning into the reviews. I appreciate all the comments, all the likes and subscribes. And yes, you should like and subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, that's all I've got for now on the Bells of Steel Hydra bar. Thank you, Bells, for sending this out to me. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to using it. I've got a client scheduled for tomorrow, and we're going to jump right in. So until the next review or unboxing or podcast or however you tune in to watch GymCrafter, thanks a lot. I'm Tim with GymCrafter.